As a fourth-generation entrepreneur and business owner, I know the grit and grind that it takes to run a business. With ChingonSA, we're capturing stories from other local business owners and sharing them with you, our querido community of San Anto. From the culture, for the culture. What's up, everybody? Bienvenidos. Welcome back to another episode of ChingonSA. Super excited to welcome you guys back. And, of course, our guest, some of you may know who she is, Denise Cabello, formerly of San Antonio Living fame, of course. But Denise is a San Antonian through and through. She's a Marshall High School grad and a UTSA grad. Go Runners! They just won a big baseball game recently.
Baseball's taking off right now. Yeah, they're still in it right now.
Are they? Mm-hmm. It's a tournament, right?
Tournament, yeah.
Yeah. But while she was there, she cheered and then also was an instructor for UCA. She's worked in local broadcasts since 2012, obviously at San Antonio Living, Yolo, Texas, and her most recent project, which we're really excited to talk about, is Hollywood Hits. Yeah. And she's also a commercial news anchor for Quarter Moon Productions.
That's it.
And you can catch her a lot of times at the San Antonio Missions as an MC and infield announcer, MC, game announcer. Yeah. Okay.
It all fits. It all fits.
And of course, she is a wife, a mom of two beautiful little girls and two dogs. Yeah. What kind of dogs are they?
I have a little Chihuahua and I have a big lab, and they're both rescues.
Okay.
Little Chihuahua, his name is Elvis. Big lab, we found him on the side of the road, so we just called him Big Dog because I was going to find a home for him. He stayed in our home, so he is Big Dog. Yeah.
And then the name stuck.
The name stuck, yeah.
That's awesome. So let's talk about what you're doing at Hollywood Hits. Tell me about the show.
Okay, so Quarter Moon Production is the production house that we. It's a commercial production house, so that's the bread and butter. But we host shows as well. So we have Hollywood Hits, we have Sports Weekly, bunch of different shows that air mostly on KCWX here in San Antonio. But Hollywood Hits has been around for a long time. Yeah. It's been around for like 8 seasons, but this year we revamped it. So we just took over. Ariel Tawil she was the host for the past 7 seasons. Okay. So now we're together, me and Ariel, and we made it more like a talk show, like a lifestyle show. Yeah. So we review the movies that are coming out for the weekend, series that are coming out, and then we find all the behind the scenes details, like fun anecdotes that you might not know. I'm the type that if I'm watching a movie, I'm like, where do I know that actor from? Yeah. It's basically that.
And then you go down a rabbit hole?
Yes. Yeah. So it's basically that for 30 minutes. And we just review what's coming up. We've got some Hollywood headlines when big news is coming out. We'll do fun games, different stuff like that.
Did you? Tom Cruise came to San Antonio a couple weeks ago. Did you guys do anything fun
No,
for
we
that?
We didn't get Tom. He didn't come on the show or anything like that.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been. That's like goals. We're like freshly off of this revamp, so little by little. We did have an interview a couple of months ago with a guy named Sagar Sheikh. He's on Hulu's Deli Boys. Okay. There's a show called Deli Boys on Hulu. It's really funny. Yeah. He's a San Antonio kid. We went to high school together, so it was cool to catch up with him and see, like, his progression, hear how he did it, how he got to Hollywood and stuff like that. But that's the idea of the show, and it's been a lot of fun. Just getting to work a little more creatively and flex that muscle, and then just literally have fun with it. You know?
So is it a podcast or is it a TV show?
First and foremost, it's a TV broadcast show. And so when you introduce me and you're like, you may know her. Yeah. If you watch broadcast television, which is not many people anymore. So it's like your grandma probably knows me, but that's about it. But so it's a broadcast television show. It airs on KCWX, which is Channel 2 here in San Antonio. And it airs throughout South Texas as well. But from that, we post the whole show to YouTube. Oh, okay. And then we pull the audio for podcasts.
Nice.
Yeah. And so that's been my first venture into podcast. Yeah. And podcast world is fun.
Yeah, it is.
I like it a lot.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also a big data guy, so I love reading the data. Yeah. Once the show goes live on the streaming platforms and the demographic stuff and all that, and just kind of diving into it. Surprisingly, we have a lot of younger folks that listen to the show, and I think that's just the nature of podcasts in general, right?
Yeah. So that you said that, when you get that data, have you manipulated the show to like adjust to what you found?
Not yet. I don't think, because we're still fairly new.
Yeah.
I think we just released our 10th episode, I think. So I just don't think that we have enough data to kind of like maybe like figure out where we want to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely that's something that I want to do as we kind of grow our audience and just kind of figure out like, okay, what's working, what's not working, what guests do we want to bring on. So far I've brought on people that I know and that I really like, and that I think are doing like really cool stuff in the community.
Like Samantha, I saw Samantha.
Samantha. She was, I've known her, for almost 20 years, I think. Yeah.
She's great.
She went to Marshall also.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she did. We weren't the same year, but I've known her just through like, broadcast worlds and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've known her for 20 years. So we got to know each other at the Westside Y when we were volunteering on the board of directors there.
Oh, cool.
And I sat on the board of directors for 9 years, I think. And I think she came in maybe like a year or two after I did.
Yeah.
And so we've just stayed connected ever since.
Yeah.
But I knew when I started the podcast, I knew she was one of the people that I wanted to have on the show. And
definitely.
She's always fun to talk to anyway.
She's so willing to share her knowledge too, which is, I think San Antonio is unique in that way, since it is such a small, big town, right?
Yeah.
That people are willing to share their knowledge to help you get where you need to go. And then when I started in broadcast, it was kind of like that, but guarded, I'm going to help you, but I'm going to make sure you're not better than me.
Right.
And I think that has kind of shifted too. Yeah. Now it's like, especially with the social world opening up, it's like there is room. There's room for both of us to have success. So that's been nice.
I feel like that's the same in my industry too. And I think just in business in general is that I think when people have the scarcity mindset as opposed to like the abundance mindset.
Yeah.
I think you'll find that people, business owners, entrepreneurs that are willing to share their knowledge, that are willing to be more open to friendly competition, but also just like other people maybe doing things different than they are. I think it's so much more beneficial for the consumer, but also for the business as well, right? As opposed to like having the scarcity mindset where like, no, I'm not going to share with you my knowledge.
Yeah.
I don't want you to come into my industry. You're not going to be better than me. To your point, I think that just is a detriment for not just for the business, but I think society in general. If that makes any sense.
Oh, for sure. I think it stunts your personal growth too. Like if you are unwilling to open what you've learned, then you're not going to learn anything else either. So it's it's twofold, but it's I feel like the industry has changed quite a bit in that aspect. What I've seen since I started, it was pretty like survival of the fittest at the beginning.
No, I can totally see that. Yeah. So I'm curious, like, why journalism? How did you get there?
Yeah.
Was that something that you'd always wanted to do? Did you study journalism in college?
Well, in college, my degree is in communications.
Okay.
And it will focus in public relations, which, if you are in college listening, like I would suggest go as general as you can. Like just, you don't have to get hyper focused into one thing because it's going to lend its hand to many other things.
Be a political science major, basically.
Yeah, right? Be general communication, mass communication. That's fine. But so since I was little, I idolized Oprah. I was watching Oprah and I was like, I will be Oprah one day. Like I loved Oprah. Yeah. I loved her style. I loved her graciousness. I loved all of it. Then I did cheer for a long time. So I was a cheerleader, like hardcore cheerleader, like competitive cheerleader. And then when I worked with that company, UCA, so they're the company that hosts the ESPN competitions.
Oh, wow.
So I was a part of that for a long time, and that was like, I'm gonna be a cheerleader forever. You know, like that's what I knew. I was gonna be a cheerleader forever.
Did you watch that show on Netflix, Cheer?
Yes, I've watched every cheer show you can think of. I've watched it. Yes, yes. I know all the words to Bring It On still. So I loved cheerleading, and I appreciate everything that world gave me. It helped me with my public speaking. It helped me with my interactions, confidence, all of that stuff. But there was a point with that company that there was no more room for growth. And it was like, okay, what's next? Where am I going to go? And I was probably like mid-20s at this point. And I was like, oh, I remember I wanted to be Oprah one day. Like, let's go back to that. So this was after I had graduated with my undergrad. I wanted to get back into like the journalism world, but I didn't know where to start. So it was like internship. Let's go back to that. I couldn't get into an internship unless I was in school. So I started going back to school for my master's degree. Full disclosure, I did not finish my master's program, but I went to school so that I could get into an internship, which is a crazy cycle in itself, right? If you're willing to learn something as an intern, like you should be able to do that without having any stipulations, but neither here nor there. So then I started interning at OAI while I was going to school, and that's when I got into the lifestyle show, San Antonio Living. And I had done an internship prior with sports, and I love sports, but I love football and I love baseball. And that's basketball, Spurs. But then I'm like, golf, what am I going to say? I don't like golf. Tennis, I don't know anything about tennis. So then I was like, okay, let's try something else. That's when I got into lifestyle, and it fit. Like I loved lifestyle. I love interviews. I love figuring out like what someone is passionate about. I love finding out like what makes us different and what makes us the same. I loved all that. So lifestyle was it. And so I started with the internship. I was the oldest intern there. Everybody else was like 18, 19, you know? I had bills. Like it was like, okay, I need this to work. So I worked really hard and showed them that I wanted to be there. And so I was hired as a production assistant. At this time, it was a production assistant ran those big old cameras. That was back before automation. So we had those huge studio cameras. I was running one of those big cameras as a part-time production assistant, making like $7.50. Yeah. As a college graduate, right? Crazy, right? But I'm like, no, this is my dream.
It's your passion.
I have to. And
I'm going to be Oprah one day.
Yeah, I'm going to be Oprah. I'm sure she started like this. So I just kept working and kept like climbing the ladder, so to speak. And so I went from production assistant to editor to associate producer to reporter to host, like just worked my way up, kept doing it. And then just eventually like got to where I wanted to be, you know, and it was all about that phrase, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. 100%, 100% in like the journalism, television, film production worlds. It's 100% who you know. And your work ethic will show, and it will get you so far, but those connections are really important. They're so important.
Well, relationship in general, right? Like relationship in general is super important. And I think that's the same in most industries. So I totally hear that. What do you remember your first day like on camera? Were you like super nervous, or were you excited? Were you all of the above? Yeah,
my first day on camera. I think my first official day on camera was when I first started appearing on camera. I was called the Facebook girl. So this was when social media reporting like wasn't a thing yet. And so we were like starting this new thing where we had a Facebook page. Makes me sound so old, and I'm not that old, y'all. But we like started our Facebook page and started interacting with viewers, telling the viewers on the show to go to our Facebook page and comment on our topics.
I remember like kind of growing up, if you wanted to interact with the anchors, you had to call in.
Yeah, right? On a landline.
On a landline.
Yeah, so now this was the whole new medium. Social media was like starting, and it was like, okay, we're going to call out to the viewers, have them interact. How are we going to show it? Okay, Denise, you're going to be the Facebook girl. You're going to go on TV and say, we asked y'all this question. Luis is saying his favorite food is macaroni and cheese, whatever. Dom says his favorite drink is whatever. Back to you. That was like my initial job. And I did that for a while. I was the Facebook girl for a while. And then that led to like, showing like my personality and stuff led to more reporting and hosting and so that was like my first time on camera, but my first live shot where I was out in the field. It was at SeaWorld. Okay. And I remember so distinctly, I was trying to think of the word amusement park, and I couldn't think of the word amusement park. So I was just like, tell us what's going on in this place. Like, I could not come up with amusement park. So I was a little deer in headlights for that. But I will say, like, when I started, I had the people that I looked up to. And I liked their style. So that was, nationally it was Oprah. But like locally, it was people like Tangi Patton, Shelley Miles. I loved their style and the way they opened, the way they could get someone to open up to them. Yeah. So that was initially how I started emulating like little things they did until I found my own voice. And then it's like, okay, this is how I want to do it. This is me. Yeah.
You worked with Shelley for a long time.
Yeah,
right?
for a long time. That whole time on San Antonio Living.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She was on San Antonio Living.
Yeah.
Is she still on the show? No, right? She is?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed to say I have not turned on the TV, like local TV in a long time.
I'm pretty sure nobody has. Yeah. Nobody listening either. That's okay.
So you left News 4, you left San Antonio Living, went over to Quarter Moon Productions. Like how did that connection happen? What was the sort of like catalyst to making the move over there?
Yeah. Well, when I left WOAI, it was at the end of 2020. So it was when COVID happened and everybody started working from home. They sent us home and we were making television from home. So we were like holding up our phones. It was like ragtag, just get whatever on air that you can, right? Yeah. And so it had so many ups and downs, but I got to do some segments with Izzy. Like she's screaming in the background. I'm like, you might as well get on show with me. So we came up with our segments and stuff. It was a lot of fun, but it gave me so much perspective. So when I went back, they sent us back in studio for OAI, and I realized there were parts of myself I was compromising for this job and holding myself back for this job. And it was like COVID just like opened so much perspective in my mind of like where I want to be, who I want to be, how I want to be. And so once the end of 2020 happened, my contract was up, renegotiation, all that. I wasn't happy with what they were giving me. And it was finally at that point I was like, I don't have to be unhappy. Like I can go and try something new. And I want to say that because like it's never too late to change your career, to try something different, or to like stand up for yourself. Yeah, for sure. So just wanted to, like make sure people hear that. But after I left, all of those connections that I had made through the show, they were blessing me. So it was all this freelance work for a while. And it was like I left San Antonio Living and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have anything lined up. So I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah. I have a family too, like what am I going to do? And it was like all those connections just blessed me with freelance work at that time. And I'm so appreciative of all of those people that had my back in that time too. Yeah, for sure. And then I was doing freelance for a bit. And then Vanessa Macias, a friend of mine, she introduced me to my boss at Quarter Moon Production, Smiley Garcia. She's connected us and said, y'all need to work together. And so that's how it kind of it got the ball rolling. And that was specifically for Yolo, Texas, when I started working with Quarter Moon Production. And Yolo, Texas was such a good show. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. It was a travel show. We got to go around Texas. We went to restaurants. We went to events. We just explored Texas, and it was such a good show. Unfortunately, it got canceled. Oh man. And so that. What
do we need to do to put that back on the air?
I know, sponsors calling. And then that's what transitioned to the news, commercial hits, and Hollywood hits,
nice.
And stuff like that. But literally every transition in my career, I have relationships to thank for still being in the job that I'm in. Otherwise, I don't know what I would be. I'd probably be teaching, I think, probably.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Mm-hmm. I mean, you were a cheer instructor for a while. Yeah. I could see how that would easily translate. Mm-hmm. I mean, you already talk to an audience as it is, right? Like as a journalist doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So I could see how that translates, but I also could see it wouldn't necessarily make you super happy doing that.
Probably not. Yeah. But I'd have the summers off, so that'd be great.
True. I'm sure your daughters would appreciate that. Yeah. So kind of, thinking to your position at Quarter Moon, I'm curious, what is one of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now? How are you guys navigating that challenge? As in production, with clients, what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah. So I think a big difference between working for WOAI, we were owned by Sinclair Broadcast Group, which is the biggest conglomerate broadcast entity across the nation. Yeah. And so there was, with local broadcast, that the industry is changing so much and everything's going automated. So there's always a chance of your position not existing anymore, right? But otherwise, being in this big company, your position's pretty solid, right? You don't have that fear of the company's going to go under or anything like that. Quarter Moon Production is a medium to small production house. So it was a totally different world. I will say, in the most beautiful, positive way. The company that I work for, Quarter Moon Production, values employees so much. And when you get to that big conglomerate, you lose that. Yeah. They value each and every one of their employees. But you have so much uncertainty. So when YOLO was canceled, when we decide, when the powers that be decided to invest in other sides of the production house, YOLO was canceled. It meant changes, right?
Yeah.
And it meant losing X, Y, and Z, and losing staff, and so it was a big change, and figuring out how to navigate back through that. It took a while, but it's still the company that I work for, my direct bosses are so mindful of continuing those relationships. So even through all of that change, some of the people that were no longer full-time employed, they brought back every opportunity they could for production shoots or whatever, freelance shoots and stuff like that. So I'm really really grateful that that's the company, that's my company,
Yeah.
But production world it can be so finicky, you have a client one day and that's the majority of your income, and then the next day they're gone. Yeah.
So I'm hearing two things from that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but number one, you have to be nimble, right? You have to be willing to do several parts of the work of the job. And then the other thing that I think that a lot of business owners, small, medium, large, need to understand is that culture is super important.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's not to say that you didn't have culture at WAI or Sinclair, or that it's any better here, but being cognizant of that, I think for business owners, for management, for executives, needing to understand that how you make your employees feel is super important.
Super important.
Is that fair to say?
100%. Yes. So first, the thing that you mentioned, being nimble. So I never wanted to do news. Like I knew I wanted to do sports. I wanted to do lifestyle. I was like, never will I do news.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing news.
Yeah.
So yes, be nimble and know everything. Like I wasn't a strong editor going into QMP, and now I'm a very strong editor. So like learn everything, know everything, have your goals, have what you want, but that ability to be flexible, like it really does help leaps and bounds. Yeah. And then the second point, 100% the culture matters. How you show your employees that you appreciate them does not go unnoticed. Yeah. And it can be something as simple as just literally verbally telling them that you appreciate them. It can be a donut. Like it's not big things that make a person feel valued, you know? Sure. And so the people that I worked with at WOAI are to this day some of my best friends. They're why I stayed, not the company. The company is not why I stayed. Sure. It's the people that made me stay, right? Sure. Now I'm very fortunate to have the best of both worlds. The company that I work for sees these things, like they know these things. They do little things like we have a movie club where all the employees watch a movie like once a month and we go and talk about it. Oh, cool. Little things that don't cost anything. It'll take a lunch break once a month, and so like if you can understand that value is going to get you so much further than like saying, no, you got to clock in, clock out, give me your time. Yeah. Then it's going to change the way people work, Yeah.
And I think it's important, I mean, to really keep in mind, or to really keep top of mind that a lot of times the team members that we have spend more time in the office than they do with their own families.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that in and of itself, it says a lot for the environment that you're working in, and that you're helping to create for those that are coming to do work for you. Right?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So that's always top of mind for me. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What about your time at the missions? I know you've been doing that for a long time, right?
Yes,
as an MC.
2015.
Yeah.
I was unmarried, no babies when I started that job, and they've kept me around, which is another. So I'm very grateful to my employers, and my boss there, Mickey Holt. Like he has opened his family to my family. So even like when his daughter grows out of her clothes, he'll send me a box of clothes. Him and Emmy will send me a box of clothes. Like I'm so appreciative of them as well, which is another reason why I've been there so long. You know, like they make it easy to work there, and I'm the old one again, you know, and they're still letting me work there. But no, it's super fun. It's what I do over there is seasonal. Like they have their full-time staff, but I do seasonal just during the baseball season. But it's a different challenge in the sense when you're in studio and you have your body language and you have your voice, and you present yourself a certain way. When you're out in an open stadium, like an open field, people drinking, yelling at you. I mean, it's so much fun. But like, what's really fun about that one is that to understand that and then to play off of it.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I have to have my voice has to carry a certain way to be heard throughout the whole place. And then I know people are going to be yelling at me. So it's fun to just like give it back to them, you know? So that's a whole different side of the MC host world, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
My next question is going to be very hard hitting.
Okay. Shoot.
You might not want to answer this question.
Okay.
Who is the man inside the suit?
Jalapeno?
Jalapeno, Henry Puffy Taco. I want it all. I want names.
You probably know them, actually, but I can tell you they're brought to life by Party Pals Entertainment.
Not a sponsor of the show yet.
No,
not a sponsor
of the show. Could be a good guest,
Could
though.
be. Oh, yeah, it might be. Yeah. You'll have to connect us.
Yeah. For sure.
No, it's always fun. I love taking my son to the games.
Yeah.
We, as a team, we've done a couple of family nights where we pay for our staff and their families to come out and sit on the deck and watch a game. I think the last time we went was Star Wars night last year.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
That's a good business move, by the way.
What's that?
Taking your team out to the game. Yeah.
So we are intentional about that.
Yeah.
We have, I think, a total of 23 staff. Not all of them are here, but we've got the majority of them are here locally, and kind of going back to that culture conversation, like we have a big team building event where we close down the office for half a day, and the last time we did it, we painted each other. We went to Painting with a Twist.
Cute.
And we did that, and then like I said, we'll do one big family night where we pay for everybody and their families to come out, because again, we appreciate the fact that our team is taking away time from their families to be with us, right?
Yeah.
So we try to give back in that way. But
that's great.
Anyway, I don't know why I got off on that tangent, but yeah. So it's going to the missions game is always fun.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what they do when they move downtown.
I know there's big changes coming for us for sure.
I'm really excited about the changes. I hope to see AAA ball back once they move downtown.
Oh, my heart is with AA. I love AA.
Do you really?
Yes, I
so
love
AAA. Were you there? I mean, you were there when they were the AAA team for a little while before we got relegated back to AA.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of fun, like seeing the up and coming players.
Yeah, you definitely see a lot more more names that are going to hit the show pretty quickly, right? But there's something about AA players that, especially in San Antonio, that makes such a beautiful connection, because they're good, but they don't know how good yet. Like they're on the cusp. Are they gonna be pulled up? Are they gonna stick around AA for a while? They're so humble about it, and they're willing to invest in the community.
Okay.
AAA was not quite as humble.
Yeah.
They were not quite as willing.
Right.
So they were just a little. And I mean, I get it. They wanna make it to the majors.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. No shade against them, but for San Antonio, and especially where the stadium is now,
right?
The only way you'll get the fans back is if you connect with them, you know. And so AA guys are real good at that.
All right, that's fair. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge baseball fan.
Yeah.
I'm a big Red Sox fan. Go Red Sox. They're playing the Yankees this weekend, so I'm excited about that series. But no, I mean, I've always been a Missions fan. I mean, even back in the day when they were at VJ Keefe Stadium over at St. Mary's,
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, so my mom worked at St. Mary's for a little while, and that was when the Missions were affiliated with the Dodgers, and Tommy Lasorda came down one year and visited the team, and I was there at the stadium.
Yeah.
And that was just it's like a core memory I have of being a kid and loving baseball.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
So
that's super fun.
Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back to see them this year.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's summer. Come on.
Yeah.
Gotta go to a baseball game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Denise, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
We're definitely gonna have to put your information in the show notes. But if people wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Social media. So me personally, I'm Denise Cabello TV on everything. And then our show, Hollywood Hits, same social media, Hollywood Hits TV. So
Perfect.
Follow us, follow along, chat with us.
We'll put the links in the show notes so people can find you guys easier. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of ChingonSA. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week. This has been an MIG Studio and Serafina Digital production. Be sure to follow and subscribe the show on your favorite streaming platform. And tell a friend about the show by sharing this episode on your Facebook and TikTok. Last, if you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or someone doing something really cool in San Antonio and want to get your story on our show, email me at luis@myinsuranceGroup.com.